Hello friends, welcome back. And as you know that in this playlist of solid oops principles, we have already discussed about the uh, theoretical portion of the all the solid oops principles, starting from the single responsibility principle till the dependency inversion principle. And in next 4 to 5 videos, we are going to discuss some code examples with respect to these solid use principles so that you can easily understand that what kind of code is violating a particular principle and what we should do to correct them, right? So let us start with the single responsibility principle. So I have written the code in C++ programming language, but for other languages as well, like for C sharp or for any other language for that matter, the concepts of classes are all the same. So I don't think you will face any problem to understand this, right? So I have written a class here, dummy application, and inside this class I have added three members: name, address, and permanent address. So these are basically the address, name, and different attributes of a particular student, or you can say a particular employee. And then inside this class I have written a constructor and there is a destructor. I hope I know you know these things like uh, constructors and destructors. And then I have written some functions to perform different activities against the object which will be created for the dummy application. So first responsibility is print report. So this is one of the responsibility, print report, which will be printing the report specific to this object, specific to this employee, or specific to this organization, to this student, right? So one responsibility comes here like print report. Then I have other responsibility connecting to the database. So you can see one responsibility and two responsibility. There are two responsibilities now: connecting to the database, getting the data, updating the data in the database table. All these things, for all these things we are going to do under this class only. So one responsibility, print report. The other responsibility is connect to the DB and get the details from DB. This function we have also written. So connect to DB, why it is needed? Because whenever I will get the details for the student or for the employee, I will be updating that detail to the database table. For that I need to connect to the database. So for that I have written this function. So this function could be private because inside my class itself I will be doing this, but still this class has more than one responsibilities. One, to get the data. Second is to one responsibility is to act as an interface for getting the data for the student or for the employee, and the second responsibility is to update the details into the database table. Third responsibility is to print the report, right? So there are three different responsibilities under the same class. So if you see this class is not following the single responsibility principle. So if this class comes to you for refactoring, then you must need to first identify what are the different responsibilities that this class can perform. One responsibility is print report. You need to basically segregate those set of functions which represents one single responsibility, right? Like print report is having a single responsibility, so this is a different responsibility, so you can put it under a different class. Okay, put under a different class. Okay, you need to put it under a different class. Then and when you put it into a different class, then in that case you can get the data for the student from the object, and you can pass that object to this print report. I mean, whatever class is going to print report, whatever object is going to print report, you can pass your object, your student or your employee object, to that particular class object, and then this print report function will be able to print the records, all the details, right? So this will be done here in a separate class. So that way you are going to spruce one of the responsibility out from this class. So now come to the second responsibility, connecting to the database and getting the record from the database tables, right? So these two things, like connecting to the database, updating the records, getting the database table records, all these things, these are very low level tasks. These need specific things. These are not related to the business logic. These are the specific these are the basic architecture. These are the basic needs, basic infrastructure needed in your application before you can run your application, before you can run your business logic. So all these things like connecting to the network, connecting to the database, these are the basic things that you must have beforehand, before you can start your application, before you can run your application. So for that, you need to spruce these out, like connect to DB and this get details from DB. These two functions you can put them under the different classes. So you need to put these two functions in under the different classes. Let me again copy paste it, Control X and then Control V. And now these two classes, like the two, not these two classes, rather these two functions, these two functions need to be placed under a separate class. So when these two functions will be placed under a separate class, then that will be performing a separate responsibility, a different responsibility, right? So this responsibility will be separated out now. Now the other responsibility, like get, not only these two things, update details, like inserting a new record into the database table, this responsibility, getting the data from the database, from the user, all these things can be placed here in the dummy application, right? In this class you can leave it, right? So this class will have now a single responsibility, and the other responsibilities has been splitted out into the different classes. Now let us see what could be the problems when you leave it like as it is, right? The first problem will be that the maintainability will be very tough, and the reason would be that whenever there will be a single change, that single change will not be reflected under a single function, but it will reflect under different functions. And since you are going to do one change, like if you want to add one more attribute here, like care, higher education, suppose, okay, something like that, higher education, if you want to collect this information. So customer has asked you to add this particular attribute, but now what will happen, inside the constructor you will add one thing, like this particular thing you will add, that is a smaller thing, but at the same time under the print report you have to add this particular field as well, which should be printed as part of the report. First thing change here, right? The second thing is, like when you are connecting to the database, here you don't need any change because you are connecting to the database. But when you are going to update the database table, then in that case what will happen, you have to add this particular record as well to perform to be inserted into the database. So in the same class you are going to see that there are two functions are going to be changed, right? Again, when it comes to you for to get the details, then you will get the detail and you will get the higher education as well. So this will be again a new responsibility. So one reason for change, there is one reason for change. Customer is asking to change only one thing, that he wants only higher education to be added, but you have written a class where you are updating one thing, you have one reason to change, you have one reason from the customer to change. But when you internally, when you actually look into this code, when you actually deep dive into the code, then you find that no, I have one more than one reason to change this, when actually the one reason came for me to change it, right? One reason came that you have to add higher education, but in fact you have more than one reason. Now you have to add this into the print report as well, you have to add into the when you are updating the database, you have to add this into that query which is fetching the data from the database, and printing it, or getting it for any purpose, right? So all these things they are there, right? So in fact there is not only one change, there is not only one reason for this class to change, but in fact from outside you got only one reason, to change, but in fact you have got many reasons. When you are changing it, when you are modifying your class, you have generated many reasons, you inherently have many reasons. Basically you by default have many reasons when there is one reason to change. So this is not a good class at all, because this is violating the single responsibility principle. And you can understand that if you are changing only one thing and it is impacting every function, then you can see that every function need to be unit tested again, and this will be a single class, a single module test, and this will contain number of test cases, right? And the testing will not again be easy, because the different things are integrated as well, right? Because I have just given the example that print report, connect to db, all these things are there, but there can be many functions which are integrating to each other. There may be some kind of coupling as well in some of the functions, right? So in that case of coupling, it also increases the scope of integration testing inside the same module, right? So integration testing will still be happen when you will split out these functions into separate classes. But the thing is that when it will be under the same class, it will become more complicated, and chances of leaving the scope of testing could be there. There is a high possibility that you leave those test cases, or you can confuse with those test cases, or you can just overlook those test cases which are needed, right? So this will make your life miserable while you will be maintaining your application, right? So that is why you should not follow the practice of having more than one responsibility in your class. You should have only one responsibility, one reason for change for your class, not more than one. So I hope you might have understood this. If you have understood this, then this particular video comes to an end. And if you have any questions, you can put into the comment section. And also, I would request that please like this video if you like it, if you have understood it. If you think that you can share this video, please share it with your friends. And if you think that you should press the notification icon, bell icon as well, then please do that and subscribe my channel. Yeah, on this channel, you will be able to see many things. Very soon, we are going to have the data structures as well. Very soon, we will have one playlist for creating a full-fledged application using the socket programming and database things using the C++. You can see the socket programming as well on my channel in C++ language and in C language, C++, both there. The socket programming I have done in this on this channel. And very soon I'm going to create a playlist where we will be having a full-fledged project that we will create, which will be based on the socket, that how the information is given from one place to the other place, from client to the server, how the server responds, and how you can catch it through the socket programming. All those things we are going to do. So with this, I would like to say have a nice day and bye bye, and we will meet you again soon.